One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live, starts now on AM 970, The Answer.
Go vote. Go vote.
That is a Shake It Off live favorite, isn't it, Alex?
Good evening, Lucas. It's called Go Vote by Chris Pixer.
Welcome, one and all, to our Election Eve show. We save Eve because we're broadcasting the show on the eve of Election Eve, which technically makes it an Eve. Yeah, I know, I'm a nerd. Happy Election Eve, Mert. I guess we lost Mert. Happy Election Eve, Alex.
Good evening. Happy Election Eve.
Well, actually, Eve. I misspoke.
Eve, yes.
Happy Election Eve, Gabby.
Thank you. Same to you, Lucas.
Now, are you guys ready for some political talk? Because there's no better time than now. And there's no other person, I think, who's more controversial and deserving of a discussion than Mert's dear friend, Comrade Zohran Kawami Mamdani. Hey, Mert, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You like the guy? What are your thoughts?
Listen, I don't really have a problem with him. I don't get why there's all the hate. I mean, everybody's going to always promise the moon, the stars, the universe. It's nothing uncommon. So when people try to overblow it, you know what? I think it's all politics because he's not really a bad guy. Free bus rides. I mean, what is it? What's so bad about what he's promising? So I don't see why he's such a bad guy. So, but I'm pretty sure you have a laundry list of things that you would like to tear the man down.
But I think, bottom line, to answer your question, what the problem is, empty promises. He's just basically lying to people and has no plan.
They all have empty promises.
Not Trump. He's come through. He may have, well, anyway. He's a bit of a rebel, like you, Mert. We're talking about Comrade Mamdani right now, so I guess it takes one to know one. But by way of a little... Thank you. I'm here all week. Now, by way of a little background, Mamdani didn't tiptoe into politics here in New York City. He cannonballed in. A self-described Democrat socialist, he's the son of intellectual royalty, Mert. His father is an Ivy League professor, and his mom is a noted filmmaker. Now, Mamdani's a 3-term assemblyman from Queens who rose from being a foreclosure counselor to a mayoral nominee. I mean, it's not like he's got a diverse range of experience either, Mert. His campaign began as a manifesto: freeze the rents, defund the police, dismantle capitalism's mom-and-pop corner bodegas, and replace them with city-run grocery stores. But as the general election looms, it's only days away, Mamdani's rhetoric has softened, his platform recalibrated, and his alliances have broadened. It's not a story of betrayal, my friends. It's a study of political survival, starring a man more slithery than a Harry Potter movie's slithering snake, with a contact list full of elected officials. And not just any officials, I may add. These are the kind of contacts that hiss before they speak, shed their ethics seasonally, and can smell a campaign donation from 3 districts away. Mert, his contact list isn't alphabetical, it's venomous. You don't flip through it, you wear gloves, and you carry anti-venom.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, come on, Mert. How can you support a man like this? You really think it's okay? He's got the experience to lead New York. Seriously.
That was very well crafted. You know, the slither and all that stuff is the snakes in his
very
contact
visual.
list. But let me tell you,
it's very visual. It's like magic. It's like Harry Potter magic. You know, he's waving a wand, and all the only difference is his magic is not fulfilled. There's just nothing. but emptiness.
But I get all that. But let's just be honest for a second, because I'm not going to let you try to assault the man's character like that. Because if these people were so bad, they would be behind bars in jail. These are individuals who are out there walking the streets. I assume, because I've been hearing things. Look who he's taking pictures with. These people have made controversial statements. But if we did that with everybody, nobody would be left, because there's a picture with somebody out there taking a picture with somebody who could be questionable, and you could say, well, are you supporting this? Are you supporting that?
Are you talking about that cleric who wanted to do a jihad on New York? You think it's okay for him to take a picture with a guy like that, or to be associated? Yeah, come on, Mert. It's not just a little picture. Okay,
listen,
who your friends are.
Listen, the guy could have ran up.
Are an indication of the kind of person you are, Mert.
Wow, you're on fire. I mean, you're all over me. I'm trying to respond to your points,
I
and you're
am
jumping all
responding to
over
your
me
question.
like I owe you money or something like that.
No, come on, bud. Seriously.
Let me say this, because when people take pictures, they're not always 100% up to date or even aware of the comments that person may have made. So to assume that he shares the same opinions as this individual is very presumptuous.
He's a co-conspirator of the 1993 bombing.
Oh, that's Alex. Alex, come on in. What were you saying?
Oh, he's the co-conspirator of the
look,
1993 bombing in the World Trade Center. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, come on, Mert. I mean, I like the fact that you're trying to make excuses.
Alex might be Alex. Y'all could be twisting all this up, but I'm not sure about that. I didn't hear about that. You guys could be making that up for all I know.
Oh my goodness, he's calling us liars on live radio. If the only person that makes stuff up is you.
If I take a picture with a fan.
All right.
No. If I take a picture with a fan, and he happens to have a past that I don't know about, you can't blame me for that. This individual has a right to come up and take a picture if they're not locked up behind bars. So if this individual is not behind bars...
You know what it is, Bert? It's cumulative. I think, you're right. Because, for example, Alex, every day, because he's a celebrity, our engineer, our producer and engineer, his name is Alex Garrett. He's got a 5-star rated podcast, One Leg Up with Alex Garrett. And he's a celebrity. And actually, sports figures will stop in the street and insist on taking a picture with him. So you're right. Do they know if he's a good guy or a bad guy? I don't know. You're right. Maybe they don't. But this is different. This is cumulative. If you take the fact that he's made a lot of statements that, about the, Intifada and all that kind of stuff. I don't even want to get into specifics. It bothers me so much. Add these all up, and it's not a good reflection on this guy. I get a bad feeling about this guy, Mary. You still okay with them?
Well, I'll say this. Everybody's entitled to get in their feelings. You want to get in your feelings and say you think this guy has some of these beliefs. Well, that's fair of you to do that. But for the people out there, the thousands and millions of people in New York who support this individual, for some reason, they don't have a problem with the guy who he took pictures with. Or they don't have a problem. They don't have a problem with who he's in the pictures with.
Oh, please,
it's because his message is resonant. His message is resonating with people who don't have any connection to this jihadist or whatever Alex tried to throw out there. We can't confirm or verify what he's thrown out there. We can't confirm or verify that.
But associated with the campaign are on social media. I've seen recordings of a lot of his people making very hateful remarks. So I'm concerned. Look, here's a list of some of his most prominent supporters. And Alex, I think you should chime in. Look, Hakeem Jeffries. Now, he's a U.S. House Minority Leader, one of the more influential Democrats, and his endorsement came just before early voting began. Yeah, unfortunately, he gets his honk. Some call Jeffries Obama light, and a dear friend said about Hakeem, dopey is as dopey does, and I agree. What a sellout for supporting Mamdani. Now, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, she backed Mamdani after the primary. That's another winner, if you ask me. poor lady. She's lost. And when asked if he would support Hochul for governor, Mamdani refused to commit, Mert, saying, ready, here's the quote, "I'm not here to make endorsements. I'm here to fight for the issues that matter to New Yorkers." Please. That doesn't answer the question. Well, she endorsed him. She endorsed him. Why can't she say, yes, I endorse him back? This reservation was a slap in the face, as far as I'm concerned.
You see the blowback and the hate the guy's getting. So you got to be careful when you just come out here and you throw your support behind some of these candidates, because it seems like he might have a good chance to win. So it might be safe to actually come out now and say, you know what, I support that guy. But if I'm a politician,
I do not. Why would
I'm going to be very calculated with declaring who I support. I'm not going to let a Lucas Ferrara try to pressure me into making a declaration before I'm ready.
You to do anything? Come on.
You sound like you want to put pressure on these individuals to come out and support this guy. They might be taking a wait and see approach.
What are you talking about?
But I'm saying there was a lot of criticism for the speed at which these people supported Mamdani,
or the lack of speed. Yes, and I think
I'm trying to address that.
Were well deserved. Well deserved. In fact, Schumer's taking a lot of heat for not openly supporting Mamdani. I feel bad for the guy. He's made a lot of mistakes. I don't agree with all his politics, but the poor guy is getting a lot of heat because he won't support the comrade.
And you know what's interesting? You know what's really interesting? I don't think most of the people who are against Mamdani would have supported a Hakeem Jeffries or would have supported a Hochul to begin with. So the fact that y'all trying to use these individuals against him, it doesn't make sense to me, because you don't support any of them. You wouldn't vote for Hochul. You wouldn't vote for Jeffries if you lived in his district.
Let's add to the list.
I don't get what you're trying to do.
I'm going to add your friend to the list. Your dear friend, Letitia James, New York Attorney General. She also endorsed Mamdani. Well, you know what, Bert? Maybe she should more focus on her mortgage fraud trial, okay? And then you've got Adriano Espaillat. He's the U.S. representative from New York. Oh, my goodness. This guy, Mert, he's a flip-flopper. He initially supported Andrew Cuomo during the primary, but after Cuomo lost, Espaillat switched and backed Mamdani. Why? Cuomo wasn't good enough. How sad is that?
All these people who... Listen, it's
thank
real
you, judges. He deserved his off. Go, Mert, go.
It's real convenient how all these Republican conservative individuals all of a sudden want Cuomo to win. It really is puzzling to me that you are supporting Cuomo.
I never said I supported Cuomo.
And you're trying to do it under the guise that this is the lesser of the two evils. That is very inconsistent. That is very fake behavior to me.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't particularly like it. So anybody...
Alex, are we listening to the same show?
You know what's fake, Mert? You know what's fake? Oh, man, he had got me fired up tonight.
What's fake? Go ahead, Alex. Unleash.
Why is he repeating every single line, every platform? Even New York One today, he said the same shtick like he did at the debate. He has nothing new to offer except that same line of affordable housing. And don't even get me started when he was questioned about Hamas and all that, my Jewish New Yorkers. Like, he has nothing original to add to the table, Mert. And he's fake. He is fake.
Whoa. Listen, you got to be careful.
Safe. He's staying safe, Alex. You're very smart to observe that.
You got to be careful, because not everybody might be aware of what his messaging is. So he's got to keep it consistent. He got to continuously repeat it, because you never know who's tuning in for the first time. There's a lot of people out there who might be saying to themselves, who is this Mamdani guy? What does he support? What is he all about? And if we're constantly throwing out new stuff, then the messaging could get lost. So we want to keep repeating the same thing over and over again, even if Alex Garrett is critical of it. Who is Alex Garrett? He's not going to vote for me anyway, so he can get out of here. Repeat the same messaging.
I'll see myself out then. You can take over behind the board.
Oh, you're going to vote for Cuomo, let me guess. That's who you're going to vote for.
Oh, my goodness.
But the real deal with this is, and I'll let you go, because the real deal with this is, you can't blame the man for staying consistent. He hadn't changed since the beginning. You can take that to the bank. You can trust it.
He's playing it safe. He's in the lead, and he's trying not to impact that. But look, He's pitching his ideas, Mert, as experiments, not mandates. And he told a reporter, ready, if it doesn't work, c'est la vie. Then the idea, I mean, what are we, Mert, lab rats? We're guinea pigs. This is not an experiment. This is real world, real people, real lives.
No,
this is not some sort of experiment. Just like when he was in high school and he promised everybody fresh juice. Vote for me for student council and everybody will get fresh juice. Did you hear that story, Alex? And it ended up being total nonsense. Total nonsense.
Listen.
This is fresh juice, people. He's going to give us fresh juice. Non-existent fresh juice.
Be unfair. You can't be unfair. You can't be unfair. And what you're doing is unfair right now. Because the individual, Mamdani, is talking about this. He's going to try to implement things that he's talking about. It might not happen because there's a lot of people in politics who might push back once he gets in office if he's lucky enough to win.
That's a different
I'm
story.
so glad you mentioned that, Mert, because
That's
it's actually
a different story.
Hochul has
ahead,
actually
Alex.
now backtracked on this. She says, I can't do everything he wants to do. So why'd she endorse him in the beginning?
Because she's afraid. She's got what's her name right behind her for her slot. Come on. She's worried about getting reelected, and things don't look so good for her, but we're going off track, okay? Look, Mamdani's got a lot of support. His ground team is amazing. You got to give the guy credit for organizing his people. No question about that. And I think Cuomo was lackluster. We've spoken about that before. He never should have run. Alex, he was a bad candidate. Don't you agree he was bad? He resigned his governorship in scandal. What is a guy who resigned because of sexual assault allegations?
And think about how many people are all of a sudden saying, let's get Cuomo the victory. And all of this scandalous behavior is in his past, and yet a lot of conservative prominent voices are saying, let's do everything to help Cuomo win. It's sickening. It's inconsistent. And it's dangerous.
What's sickening?
It's dangerous what's going on here.
Maybe they don't want to see New York die, because what this guy is proposing is worse than Bill de Blasio. And a lot of people are saying that.
Because he wants to give people free bus rides. You think that's going to kill New York? What's the harm in that? What's the harm in wanting to reduce rent and make it affordable to live in the city?
Yeah.
I think you guys are trying to be alarmist here.
That's the problem. Look, this is Lucas Ferraro. Welcome to episode 69 of Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas Live. We are now into our second year of broadcasting this great show. 69, would you believe it? May I hear an amen? Amen. Ever mindful that without you, we are nothing. So we're truly grateful for your support. We've got great guests in store for you, so don't go anywhere. Producing tonight's show, Alex Garrett. I've already introduced him. Great podcast. My co-host is the Mertinator, and you've heard why. Mert Roberts. Amazing dude. He's lost. He's lost his way, but hopefully this show will bring him back one day. And in the studio, we have a special guest, Gabby Pisani. Are you here, Gabby?
I am.
We love you. Thank you for coming this evening. And Ashley Ferranti in Master Control. Well, when we come back, we're going to come back with a special guest. His name is Joe Borelli. He was former minority leader of the New York City Council, influential Republican voice for Staten Island's South Shore. He's got a lot to say. So don't go away. Shake it off with me, Mert, Alex, Gabby, and the Honorable Joe Borelli. We'll be back after these messages.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Whether you're preparing for exams, juggling family and career, or just looking to stay sharp as you age, Think Factor is here to help. Created by the same company that makes Relief Factor, Think Factor supports sharper focus, stronger recall, and clearer thinking. It's the natural way to give your brain the daily nutrients it needs for memory, attention, and even vibrant vision. Call 800-4RELIEF. 800, the number 4RELIEF, or visit ReliefFactor.com to learn more. Look, I was a little bit skeptical. I started taking Think Factor. After a few weeks, wow, my memory, my focus, my concentration, better than ever. And Think Factor results get better the longer it's taken. If you want to stay focused during demanding tasks, keep your memory strong, maintain mental energy for whatever's ahead, well, Think Factor is for you. Call 800-4RELIEF. 800, the number 4RELIEF, or visit ReliefFactor.com to learn more and order Think Factor. Your first bottle is just $19.95. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better daily. Call 800-4RELIEF or visit ReliefFactor.com for Think Factor.
Nowadays, when a lot of food is good and expensive, Michael's of Brooklyn is something that's just plain good. And if you want the best homemade Italian food, then you must get to Michael's of Brooklyn, Avenue R off Nostrand Avenue. Say hello to Fred and tell him Kevin McCullough sent you here to eat fantastic fresh pasta. And if you can't get to Michael's of Brooklyn, then how about joining the Sauce of the Month Club? You get a different jar of Michael's of Brooklyn pasta sauce and homemade pasta and biscotti each month for 6 months. Each month receive exquisite sauces ranging from arrabbiata to puttanesca and, of course, the fresh marinara. They're family-owned and operated, and I can attest to the authenticity of every one of their recipes. That's why it's stacked in my pantry. Everything is made completely from scratch. Even the sauce they sell in the grocery stores nationwide. They make it right there at Michael's of Brooklyn. So visit michaelsofbrooklyn.com and join the Sauce of the Month Club. That's michaelsofbrooklyn.com or call 718-998-7851. Michael's of Brooklyn, serving the community since 1964.
I love bringing you products that improve your life. Well, this product can save a life. There are 5,000 choking deaths in the U.S. annually. One child dies every 5 days from choking. Older adults are also at increased risk of choking. Foods eaten by the handful like popcorn, grapes, peanuts, they get overloaded in the mouth, cause a choking episode. LifeVac is a simple rescue device that can change a life in a choking emergency. It's non-invasive and easy to use. If you have a young child or a senior relative, I strongly recommend you visit the LifeVac website today at lifevac.net. View the videos demonstrating its ease of use. LifeVac works in 3 simple steps. Place, push, pull. The LifeVac device dislodges the obstruction and suctions out the food or object. It's that simple, and it can be self-administered. Lifevac.net.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Go vote, go vote.
After nearly a decade of public service, the Honorable Joe Borelli stepped into a new chapter of his career. Formerly the minority leader of the New York City Council and a prominent Republican voice representing Staten Island's South Shore, Borelli resigned from his council seat in January of 2025. His departure marked the end of a tenure defined by sharp political commentary, media savvy, and a deep connection to his constituents. Now, Borelli brings that experience to the private sector as managing director at Chartwell Strategy Group, a Washington-based political consulting and lobbying firm. In this role, he's helping expand Chartwell's footprint in New York while supporting clients navigating the complex intersections of policy, media, and business. Known for his strategic instincts and communication skills, Borelli is leveraging his insider knowledge of New York politics to advise organizations on how to shape public affairs and legislative outcomes. Welcome to the program, Honorable Sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Great to be here on a nice Sunday probably in the year.
We appreciate it, particularly since it's election eve. Well, I guess it's safe to say, Honorable Joe, since you've resigned from the city council, the city's gone to pot. How in the world did we end up with a democratic socialist, Comrade Mamdani? Where the heck did you go wrong?
Well, the truth is that this is a function of the election system that we have, the actual system itself. We are one of the few cities that still has a primary election process that has partisan primary elections. If you go to any other large city in the U.S., whether it's Chicago or L.A. or anywhere in between, people are registered as a political party member, but you don't run as a member of that party. So the primary is actually open. What that does is it makes more moderate candidates. It usually gives moderate candidates a better shot. Here we have a system where you have to win the Democratic primary, and the person who wins the Democratic primary is just usually the most craziest leftist in the bunch.
Well, that about says it all about Comrade Mamdani.
Wait a minute, hold on a second.
Get ready for the Murdinator, Honorable Joe. It's the Murdinator, Murd Roberts.
I did my research on this individual. He's very gifted at crafting things and saying things in a certain way. But I'm not going to let him get away with that because...
Who are we talking about? You talking about the Honorable Joe?
The Honorable Joe is very gifted at what he just did there. He should run for a higher office one day. Get out of that lobbying thing.
I vote for him.
Now, I'm going to say that...
If he could represent the South Shore, he can represent anybody. Yeah, go.
And this might not be connected to Mamdani, but wasn't this a big issue when we just selected Kamala to run for president, that we didn't have a primary or whatever to select the top Democrat? Wasn't people complaining about that?
Yep, I was.
Yeah, and they were right. They were right to complain about this. I mean, the person that they elected nominated was a person who only party insiders chose and not the people. Would Kamala Harris have been the Democratic nominee if there was actually a primary process? Maybe not. Might have been Gavin Newsom, might have been Josh Shapiro, might have been anybody in between. But the Democrats forced Kamala Harris to take up the mantle of Joe Biden when it was clear to anyone that Joe Biden didn't have the functional ability to be the president, let alone a candidate for re-election. But this is not the same thing. This is basically the function of just city government. Almost every single city in America has nonpartisan elections for office. That allows every voter to vote in the election that actually decides the race. In New York, it's the opposite, where if you're not a member of the Democratic Party, you can't vote in the Democratic primary, which oftentimes decides who's going to be the candidate, the actual winning candidate for office.
So basically, as a Republican, you want non-Democrats to be able to choose who the Democratic representative should be. You don't think Democrats should have say on who they want?
That's not at all. It's municipal elections around the country, with the exception of New York, Philadelphia, and Charlotte, are almost exclusively nonpartisan elections. So people don't run under a party banner for municipal office.
That's what he's saying. He's saying it shouldn't be aligned with the party. It should just be the person, right, Joe?
But I'm asking, I'm asking, why is that an issue? If I'm a Democrat, and this should just be between Democrats, we shouldn't let outside people choose the Democrat candidate. Why is that an issue? I don't get that.
Well, in a nonpartisan race, the Democratic Party can endorse anyone they want. They could say the Democratic Party endorses Joe Schmo, and that's still what parties do. The Democratic Party still has influence in all these other races. What it does, though, is it allows every person who lives in that city and is registered to vote the opportunity to vote in the election. I mean, look, there's valid arguments on both sides. There's no question about that. But we are the only large city, along with Philadelphia and Charlotte, which does it this way.
Let me ask you, Honorable Joe, wasn't Mario Cuomo the worst possible candidate that they could put up, because he was the supposed favorite before the results all came in. He was a flawed candidate, and don't you think it was a mistake to go with him to begin with? Come on, give us.
Yeah, I mean, he's a flawed candidate. I mean, he's someone who has a very tough record to defend on not just COVID, which is probably the most stinging in people's memory, but on criminal justice reform, on tax and spending, on things like that. The problem is the polling indicates that it's a binary choice between Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani. There is no option C at this point. So I guess voters, even Republicans, are going to have to choose whether they want to vote for Andrew Cuomo or essentially light their vote on fire with Curtis.
But they're throwing their vote away with Curtis. Don't you agree, Joe?
Yeah, literally any one poll can be skewed. It can be off, right? Polls are not infallible. But when you have trends, when you have all the polls sort of coming up with an average of where someone is before Election Day, it's clear that Curtis doesn't have any possible path to victory. Cuomo, for all his faults, has a path. So again, it's like it's tough to hear a Republican saying they're going to vote for Andrew Cuomo, but I'd rather someone who has, his foot on the brake every now and then than someone who has his foot on the gas all the time about socialism and communism.
Yeah, amen. I agree with you on that. We have a few minutes before our first break, Honorable Joe. We're speaking to the Honorable Joe Borelli, former New York City Councilman, and we'll talk more about his work at Chartwell in a few minutes. But Stefanik, you think she can whoop? Can she whoop Hochul's? You know what? I'm seeing some nice momentum. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. Kathy Hochul narrowly won to Lee Zeldin, and Lee did a great job. I was involved with his campaign pretty heavily. I was a co-chairman of the campaign, and then I was one of the people who led a PAC in support of him. So, I mean, it's very, very possible for him.
Congratulations to you, because he did pretty respectably, considering all things considered. Yeah. So well done to you. You think Stefanik can kick butt, though? That's the question. What do you think?
Could you say that again?
Do you think Stefanik can kick butt? Because we know about the last candidate, but she seems to have more. She seems to be resonating stronger, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, she has a real good shot of winning. I mean, first of all, she has to announce she's running. I mean, it's all likelihood that she will at some point.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but all likelihood she will next month. Well, actually, this month. This is now November. And Kathy Hochul hasn't done much to ingratiate herself with moderates, around the state, and she hasn't even done a good job of shoring up her base of Democrats in the state. She's facing a primary challenge from the very person she appointed as lieutenant governor. If that doesn't show you, how poorly managed her office is, I mean, I don't know what possibly could be. It's going to be interesting to.
Yes, good. It's going to be interesting. Finish your thought. Go ahead.
It's going to be interesting to see how she handles Mamdani. So Mamdani's going to come to office, and everything he wants to do is going to require some tax increase. Mamdani, let's say he wins, right? He'd have won the city, but his policies are losers in the suburbs. And the suburbs is really where the battleground is for New York State, whether it's Nassau County, Suffolk County, the Hudson Valley, Rockland County, etc. Those are all the places where the swing voters happen to live. And Mamdani's policies are very unpopular there. So it's a question of whether she gives him the tax increases that he wants, which will be really unpopular for her reelection.
She'll be toast. She'll be toast if she falls for his nonsense, and she knows it. And look how embarrassing. She endorses Mamdani, Joe, and then when Mamdani is asked, will you support Hochul, he denies it. He doesn't want to support her. I mean, does that speak volumes about her or what?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's amazing the amount of prominent Democrats who have come out and not endorsed Zohran Mamdani. I think that really says more than who's endorsing it, right? A lot of people are going to fall in line. But to have Obama out there, to have Chuck Schumer out there, and by the way, I actually think it's smart of Chuck Schumer not to endorse him because, again, Mamdani's...
Let's talk about that after the break, Honorable Sir. We have to go to a commercial break, but have no fear. The Honorable Joe Borelli will be rejoining us after these quick commercial messages. For more about him and his work, visit chartwellstrategy.com. You'll also find links on our website, Shake It Off Live. Mert, Alex, Scabby, and the Honorable Joe Borelli and I hope you'll stay tuned. Don't touch that dial unless you're lobbying for better radio.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Kevin McCullough, again, with some more breaking news. Thank you for your attention to this. Hurricane Melissa, which is a Category 5 hurricane that hit Jamaica this week, has also touched on eastern Cuba, is expected to regain strength and go across the Dominican Republic and the island nation of Haiti. These are four of the most impoverished countries on the planet, and certainly in the Western Hemisphere. And for Jamaica specifically, Melissa's 185 mile per hour winds and the 892 millibars of central pressure that came from the hurricane are the hardest since they have begun keeping records for Jamaica in 174 years. In other words, there has never been a storm of this magnitude that's ever touched the island nation of Jamaica, and that is where Food for the Poor is already on the ground. They have pre-positioned resources, but they are needing our help. More resources need to be going in there. More food needs to be going in there. More infrastructure supplies need to be going in there. And right now, every penny and every second counts. Please give as generously as you can for the people of Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, the island nation of Haiti, as this storm continues to devastate lives. Again, the toughest that they have seen in 174 years. Here's the phone number, 855-907-4673, 855-907-4673. It is urgent that we get them the allocated resources as quickly as possible. There are still people missing. They had a number of people that had already been reported as being killed because of the storm before it made landfall, and with the toughest storm in 174 years, that number is expected to rise dramatically in the coming days. 855-907-4673, 855-907-4673, or go to am970theanswer.com.
Wish there was an easier way to navigate the world of real estate? If only there was a way to learn from the best. Well, now there is. Saturdays at 10 a.m., our very own Dottie Herman, Vice Chair of Douglas Elliman, gives you the inside track to what is hot in real estate. Stay one step ahead in today's seller's market as Dottie gives her tips on how to make it through the tricky waters of real estate. Doesn't matter if you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, you need to listen to Eye on Real Estate. Dottie and her terrific team of experts will guide you as sellers and buyers to make sure you're getting the best value for your property. Whether you want to become a real estate agent or work within the business, there's no better person to learn from than the great Dottie Herman. She's a legend. She's the best, period. Tune in to Eye on Real Estate, Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on AM 970, The Answer. That's Eye on Real Estate. Don't miss it, Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on AM 970, The Answer.
to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970. The Answer.
Go vote. Go vote.
Welcome back. If you just tuned in, you missed the Honorable Joe Borelli explaining how to survive New York politics without losing your accent or your sanity. He's a former minority leader of the New York City Council and a sharp-tongued Republican voice from Staten Island's South Shore. I love Staten Island. He now brings his political savvy to the private sector as managing director at Chartwell Strategy Group. So, Joe, you said it was smart of Schumer and Obama not to endorse, and then I interrupted you because we had to go to a commercial. Can you finish your thought?
Yeah, look, I mean, so Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader of the House of Representatives, I mean, he's out there endorsing Mamdani, and essentially that's owning it. So now, every time there's a candidate running in the 435 seats in the House that are up in 2026, I guarantee you are going to see not just the picture of Hakeem Jeffries with whatever the candidate's name is, but you're also going to see a picture of Zohran Mamdani. And people are going to ask, in the 2nd District in Iowa, they're going to say, do you really want Hakeem Jeffries and Zohran Mamdani's brand of communism here in Grand Rapids, Iowa? And that's a playbook that Republicans do, Democrats do, but that's why, smarter leaders of legislative bodies kind of stay out of races when they don't really have to endorse. I think it's actually the smarter play for Schumer to just stay out.
Well, let me ask a question,
Go ahead,
Lucas. Let me ask a question. So if Mamdani has all these outrageous ideas, what's the real fear of him getting elected? Is there like a real force behind some of his ideas? Meaning, I'm thinking if he gets elected and he has all these outrageous ideas, they have no chance of being implemented because they're just outrageous. So it might be a popularity thing. So what's the fear? Is it possible some of his ideas can get implemented?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that involve money are going to be difficult because the city is facing a $17 billion budget gap over the next 3 years. So Mamdani can promise all the free stuff he wants. However, he's facing the reality where he might actually have to cut things from the current city budget. That's not the position that he intends to be in, and that's not a position where someone who's never really had a job in his life really should be in a position of authority. But the things he can do, the city council can decriminalize sex work. They could force police to respond in different ways. They can change the way we police. They could change the way we do a lot of things. The city council is the most radical body in the country. And where you had Eric Adams kind of, always had the ability and sometimes did use his veto to veto the craziest bills, now you're going to have someone putting his foot on the throttle, foot on the gas pedal, what the city council can do. So the city council can change the way. Yep.
So I think we envision New York differently because hasn't New York always been the limit pusher? Hasn't New York always been the frontier of liberalism, like gay movements, all that stuff? Hasn't New York always been the capital of that? So wouldn't it make sense to just keep going forward? Like, I don't understand why that would be shocking.
You're 100% right. But in the 1970s, we tested the limits of the social welfare state, the social welfare city, and the city went bankrupt. That's a time when not every city, look, a lot of problems were happening in the early 1970s. There was a financial crisis nationwide, but cities, by and large, weren't going bankrupt. It was New York City that was going bankrupt, and that's again because we tested the financial boundaries of what a progressive welfare state can do. He wants to implement a $6 billion program for universal child care, meaning you're going to have a nanny for every single kid under the age of whatever it is, 3 years old, let's say. That's not cheap. That's not going to come free. And if he makes good on which he can do, let's be clear, he could do this. He has the power to do that. If he somehow raises taxes and finds money, I mean, it's just going to balloon the city's budget beyond where it is. Let's talk about the city budget for 1 minute. It's $120 billion. That's I want to say that's at least 7 or 8 times the next highest city budget in the whole country. I mean, that's how ridiculous the amount of money that we actually spend is.
Now, when you say that budget number, why should we care about what the number is? What's the reason we should care about that?
because it all comes from the taxpayers. It all comes from somewhere. It doesn't come from the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It takes, so of the city's $120 billion budget, let's say, 40 of it comes from the state. The state, acts as a pass-through. It spends money through the city government. So that means that $80 billion is generated by city revenue. That's a pretty significant dollar amount. That's, $1,000 per taxpayer.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Lucas. It's really interesting. You've been a politician, so I'm always fascinated why a politician would be against a city like New York, because you can just implement all these new programs because apparently people don't mind paying more taxes for these programs. So I don't get why, as a politician, you would view that as a negative thing, because if the people are willing to pay more taxes, then what's the big deal?
Well, they're not.
You could take it.
They're not willing to pay it. In fact, New York City and New York State was the number one out-migration state of all of the states in the United States of America, meaning more people left New York by percentage than any other state in the United States of America. And even the Governor Hochul, has admitted that the top 1.5% of city earners, so people that make, say, $600,000 and above, right, the top 1.5% pay 1/3 of all the taxes in New York State. So when people throw around phrases like, tax the rich, the reason why we're facing some of our budget challenges is because over the last 10 years, which Cuomo is responsible for, over the last 10 years, millions of people have left New York for places like Florida, Texas, the Carolinas, etc., places that have better tax structures. New York forced work from home, right? I mean, if you remember that, during COVID, they forced work from home. People realized that if you move to Florida, you can make 13.5% more money by moving to Florida. I mean, that's the reality, right? The highest tax bracket is about 10% on the state side, and the highest tax bracket on the city is about 3.85%. So you can actually save almost 14% of your income just by relocating to Florida.
Yeah, but Joe, these people that you've worked with in the city council, do you think they're going to be receptive to these pie-in-the-sky ideas? Do you really think they're going to support them?
They are 100% in lockstep with Zohran Mamdani. The City Council's Progressive Caucus is the largest block in the City Council. There's about 21 members, 22 members. That's almost half the members of the City Councils claim themselves to be bona fide progressives. These are the people that want to, put rent stabilization laws on every apartment. These are people that want to, change the way property owners can even rent their properties. These are people that want to decriminalize, all sorts of misdemeanors. These people are in lockstep with him.
So then, this is pretty scary. This is scarier than I thought, Joe. So if Mamdani gets in, do you think that the flight will continue? That more people will leave? Because I'm already hearing, because I do real estate for a living, Joe, that a lot of people have been calling brokers in Westchester, Nassau, and other parts of the country, like you mentioned, Florida, for example, to talk about relocation in the event of a Mamdani win. Not only are they concerned about taxes, Joe, but they're concerned about the quality of life. And if he's going to impact policing the way he's threatening to do, sending social workers in, what kind of system, and not have prisons, because he doesn't see the need for prisons. What kind of city are we going to have, Joe?
Look, it's very scary. That program that you're talking about, the Department of Community Safety, is very alarming. Police are first responders, and there's a great argument that the people who follow up with them, right, the social workers currently, are not doing a great job when there's a 911 incident and it turns out that the person has mental illness, or there's a history of, say, domestic violence, and there needs to be some sort of counseling or parental issues. There's tons of incidents that the police respond to that they don't have to be there for. They're not social workers, right? That's clear. The problem is we need police to respond first. They are first responders. We don't know that a person suffering from a mental episode is not going to be violent, is not going to pick up a knife, or not going to pick up a gun, or not going to attack people, right? We don't know that fact until the police arrive on scene, right? So we always need the police to arrive on scene first to protect the person themselves, the members of their family, anyone who's reporting the incident. So I'm scared that there might be an alternative thing that people might say, oh, let me call the Department of Community Safety and have them come over and try to, talk to my son who's overdosing on drugs and he has access to a knife, right? It's scary to think that. And that's kind of a lot of the flaw of Mamdani. He has identified real problems. Mental illness is a real problem. Affordability of this city is a real problem. He's identified and talked about the problems so much better than Sliwa and Cuomo, and that's why he's probably going to win.
Yeah, but let me ask you too, Joe, before I give you to my producer, Alex Garrett, who has a question for you. Affordability, particularly housing, that has been an issue for eons, and the existing system has failed to address it adequately or competently. How do we fix this housing issue other than the Mamdani proposal, which is to basically take it? Because I think that's what's going to happen. If you have a rise in foreclosures with increased property taxes, but you have to freeze the rent, I see more and more owners giving up buildings because they're not going to be able to meet their expenses. So this city is going to go back to the 70s. But housing affordability has been a crisis that's been ignored. Don't you think that that's part of the problem too, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, the rent stabilization program of New York City that rent stabilizes, meaning rent controls, about 800,000 units, has done nothing but lead to the rise in all other market rate apartments in the city of New York. At the same time, it's actually made the buildings themselves not able to be sustainable in terms of the property taxes, the cost, the energy cost, the insurance cost, all that stuff, right? So we have a flawed system. The thing that's probably going to resolve the issue a little bit is a program I don't actually like. It's the City of Yes. It's Mayor Adams's zoning change he implemented last year. It's probably the most radical zoning change the city has had since the 1960s. It will genuinely allow private developers to build hundreds of thousands of new units around the city, despite the protests of the local communities and the local neighborhoods. I don't like that answer, but that answer actually does, meet the supply and demand component of bringing housing pricing down.
We only have a few minutes left, Joe, and we have a question from our producer, Alex Garrett. Go, Alex.
All right, we're talking about the social workers at NYPD. I have a question for you, Joe, though. The extending of the olive branch to Jessica Tisch, will she accept it if he gets elected or not?
I don't know. It's a tough call for her, right? I mean, she has her own political ambitions that she might want to test, if she's maybe the candidate to run against Mamdani in his first reelection. And the other question is, who's in charge of the NYPD? Is it going to be Commissioner Tisch or is it going to be Zohran Mamdani? I mean, at the end of the day, she serves, like all commissioners, at the pleasure of the mayor. And if the mayor is telling the NYPD we're changing our policies, he has the right to do that. He has the ability to do that. So it's unclear, whether just having her there as a way to satisfy moderates. I mean, that's all he did. By the way, he was so smart to do it. And I even criticized Curtis Sliwa for being too short-sighted to even see things like, hey, why don't you just say you're going to keep Jessica Tisch? She seems really popular. Maybe people will think you're serious about being mayor. He didn't do that, of course. But I think it was a good play by Mamdani to try to show people that he could be moderate. He could be a little bit, say, more moderate than his critics might paint him to be.
Hey, Joe, we only have a minute left. Any advice for our listeners? You have any final words for our listeners? This is your shot.
Yeah, I think you should start looking at real estate in Florida. It's a nice state. It's a really nice state.
Oh, my goodness. You resigned? Come on, bud. You should have run. What's wrong with you? Well, thanks so much.
Never again.
Oh, thanks so much for coming on the program. We really do appreciate the Honorable Joe Borelli, former New York City Council member. When we come back, we'll be joined by Tom Allen. He's a seasoned journalist and media entrepreneur who founded City and State New York, which is a leading publication covering local and state politics. With some 40 years of experience and a sharp editorial voice, he remains a prominent figure in New York political media. We look forward to speaking to him. So it's important that you come back after the news. At the top of the hour, you'll have to suffer through a few commercial messages. But once that's all done, Mert, Alex, Gabby, Tom Allen, and I, along with the rest of the AM 970 team, will be waiting right here for you. We know you want it. We know you want to shake it off. with us in particular. So please come back for hour 2. Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas live. Don't go anywhere. Tom Allen's up next. And if you media moguls were burros, he'd be all 5. A bit faster than a New York minute, I promise.
The preceding hour of programming, sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.